All right. Hello, everyone. I think everyone's getting connected here. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Vanessa. I'm with the Dallas Public Library. We are happy to partner with on this programming series, Earth Day Every Day, with the Department of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. Just a few housekeeping things. You will be on mute and your video will be turned off for the presentation. However, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. And I think there's gonna be a few interactive questions too, so get your chat ready for that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Judy with OEQS and let her tell a little bit about what they do, and then we'll introduce our speaker. Thank you so much, Judy.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here again. And today we're going to hear all about Thrifting 101. And I'm really thrilled to be here with Carmina and can't wait to hear the introduction and her program. She always provides wonderful insight and takes us on an interesting journey. And that journey is all about being in the environment and how we can really be in our world in a different way and embrace sustainability and reusing and repurposing and just adding new and great behaviors to our lives. And so that's what it's all about today. And that brings me to our department within the city of Dallas. We're one of over 70 departments and divisions that the city operates, the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. And it's my pleasure to work on the outreach team and on marketing. And we talk about many things that are about the environment, everything from air quality to energy, water conservation and stormwater management, to urban agriculture, green living, and zero waste. So we like to say we talk about the environment from A to Z. One of the things I wanted to just stress today is about the idea of refusing, reusing, repairing, and regifting. I know sometimes we'll start with the last one. Sometimes that feels a little odd, regifting something, but I think if you know people really well, you might be able to say, hey, listen, I'm going to regift something to you, or I have something that I really love, but I haven't used it in a long time, and I think you would enjoy it. So I think that the idea of regifting is a great one. You can also donate things. And Carmina will probably be talking about that as well, that can then be used for regifting, everything from appliances to toys and clothes and decorative items for the home. Repair things. I know that's something we were just talking about before the program started. It seems like in the school system, there's not as much teaching about sewing and crafts and using that creative side that we really all have to be able to build things, repair things, make things. And so, that's something that we want to stress and encourage within our talks with people throughout Dallas and within our department. Reusing things, of course, the containers and the other items that are single use. And it's just, I think I always believe that it's going to be hard for me to change my behavior. I remember when I started buying the polyurethane bags, the washable bags, and I thought, oh, how's this going to be? It feels so different not to be able to use my favorite, Ziploc, one-use bags. But actually, we've all embraced it here at the house, and we love it now. It actually saves us space in the refrigerator. It's cool to be able to take a nice decorative bag, with me for my lunch. And so there's a lot of different ways that we're using, products, and learning to refuse the single-use products really works. The other thing I just want to say is recently, and I love me some Starbucks, totally. And this has happened with other places as well. They have these wonderful lids that they've put on their drinks that they've spent a lot of time, I think, researching and coming up with. But yet still, I'm always offered a straw. So I just want to say, it's okay to refuse things, refuse straw, refuse those single-use plastic packages. And, let's really continue learning how we can incorporate all these wonderful behaviors in our life that will really help keep the water clean, keep the storm water and the storm drains clean, keep the litter off our streets, off our lawns, and away from our businesses, and just overall be a benefit to the environment and to us. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Herman and the introduction. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Herman. I am joining you today from the Creative Space Fiber Arts Workroom at Central Library, 4th floor. In this space, you can use our sewing machines, use our books, use our fabric. It is all free to the public. It can be a space that you use in the future to alter the items you've bought at a thrift shop or items you already have in your closet. So yeah, you can find more information about the Creative Space on our website. And so now I'd like to introduce Mina Del Tex. I want to thank Mina for joining us today. Mina is a content creator with a focus on sustainable fashion and a freelance fashion stylist. Through her blog, she shares different ways one can slow down their clothing consumption in order to build a conscious wardrobe. So thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and start.
Hello, can y'all hear me? Yes, me. Hello.
Oh yeah, we can hear you, Carmina.
Okay, cool. I was like, it got so quiet. Okay, hello. So yes, my name is Carmina Del Tex. I, like you said, create fashion content, and my focus is on sustainability. So you'll hear some of that throughout the presentation. And today I'm going to share some of my thrifting tips, Thrifting 101. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to talk about the different types of thrift stores because just like everything else, thrift shopping has evolved and has also gone digital. So I'll talk about the different types of thrift stores, different ways that you can shop, and also talk about navigating the thrift store, because if you've been to a thrift store, they can be very overwhelming and it's hard to know where to start. So I'll talk about that because that's something that even myself, I've been thrifting for 5 years. When I go to a new thrift store, it's still very overwhelming for me. And then also I'll talk about things to consider when thrift shopping. And of course, the focus will be on sustainable fashion and how to, build a wardrobe that works for you. So as always, I like to start with kind of like a conversation started to see what y'all, if you've ever been thrift shopping. So if you want to put in the chat if you've ever thrift shopped and what was the last thing you bought. So if anyone wants to do that, I'm curious to know if anyone has shopped recently, if you've ever gone, if you've never gone, or what was the last thing you bought. Oh, a jacket. Yes. Oh my God. I was hoping to see that. Jackets base. Yeah. As Judy mentioned, the thrift stores are super great for home decor. Like this mug is actually from the thrift store. So leather shoes. Cool. Awesome. Yes. Jackets and blazers are great. I'll touch into that. Okay, so good to hear. So some of y'all have already been thrift shopping. So I do hope that some of the information I give you is a refresher or something new that like makes your thrift shopping, takes it to the next level. So let's talk about the different types of thrift stores. So there's the traditional thrift stores, the brick and mortar, the physical stores. We have Goodwill, Texas Giant, Texas Thrift. Thrift Town, we have a lot of really good thrift stores here in North Texas and in Texas. I really like Savers in Austin. Through this presentation, you'll probably realize that I maybe spent a little too much time in Austin, but those are some of the traditional thrift stores that we have. I also saw in the chat that someone mentioned going to like smaller towns. I never actually thought of that. So that's a really, really good tip. And so these are like the traditional thrift stores. These are usually the ones that are a little bit overwhelming when you shop because they're just so big and there's just so much not only clothes, but like accessories, home decor. There's just like everything you can find more than just clothes at the thrift store. So those are the traditional thrift stores. And so then we also have vintage stores and the more up-to-date resale stores. So if maybe you go to the thrift store and you're like, I don't know, that they just have stuff that's kind of outdated for me, I want something a little bit more modern, then you can go to resale stores or even vintage stores. The price range for these stores will be a little bit higher, but you'll probably find more pieces that are currently trending. And so a very popular store is Buffalo Exchange. We have one here in Dallas, I believe, and there's quite a few locations in Texas as well. A vintage store would be like Dolly Python. That's also in Dallas. And then there's also like small businesses that have resale stores. The one here in Dallas is Good Cycle. They have some really cool things there as well. And like I mentioned, it'll be more pieces that are trendy. And then also Pavement is in Austin is a really good store. So if you're ever in Austin, you should go to Pavement. If you like Buffalo Exchange, Pavement's a little bit like, they have like more. When I was there, I was just like, they have so many cool pieces. And then a future slide, I'll show you a coat that I got from there. Ooh, cool Halloween stuff. I'm like keeping up with the chat as well. So yes, these are some of the resale stores. So there's also digital apps. Thrifting has gone online. There's digital apps. And like I mentioned, I've been thrifting for quite a while, over 5 years. And I think whenever I was thrifting, that's when there was the digital apps were emerging. So Depop was getting started. Depop is an app where you can buy secondhand clothes as well. There's also Poshmark. The RealReal is a secondhand shop for like designer items, and also Vistara Collective. I think we have an actual store for the RealReal here in Dallas. I looked it up and it looks like we have one. But Depop, I like Depop. I haven't checked it recently because I'm trying to buy the things that I need, but Depop is very easy to navigate. You make an account. It's almost like Instagram. It's very, very visual, so you can see what the pieces look like. A lot of the sellers there will take good pictures so you can kind of see what it looks like, you know, the front of the item, the side of the item, and you can even message the seller and be like, hey, can you try this on? I want to see what it looks on a person. So it's very interactive. I have used Depop before. I used it to buy a blazer, and I wanted to make sure that the blazer was going to be a fabric that wouldn't make my skin itch. So I was like, hey, how's the fabric? So it's very interactive. So that way, you know, you don't buy something that you're like, what did I buy? This isn't working out. So those are some really cool apps and ways that you can thrift. And there's just different also online apps, but these are just some of the ones that I mentioned and that I've used. Then this is something that I really saw emerging a lot, like flourishing during the pandemic, is the independent online stores or online shops. It's digital-based sellers that source pieces, especially for someone who's maybe more picky, who's almost, basically it's like someone who's willing to pay for someone to thrift for them. So these sellers, instead of selling on Depop, they'll like make their own website and, you know, go find pieces at the thrift store, clean them for you. They'll even style them and have like a whole like photo shoot production to show you what they've bought. And so we have some of those independent online stores here in Dallas. So one of them that I really like is Epoca Shop. I bought some stuff from there. There's also Erica Nicole Vintage. You can find her on Instagram. She sells stuff she sells clothes, and I believe also like home decor items. Fresa Thrift is also a North Texas based online shop. And then I added one that's not from Texas. I'm not really sure what state it is, but I really love what they have. It's very colorful pieces and like jackets and blazers, since the colder season is going to eventually get here. Nello Vintage is really good too. So those are the different ways that you can buy secondhand items. You could do the traditional way, which is like the thrift stores, or you can maybe do like the digital things, the little digital shopping. And this was, like I mentioned, pretty popular during the pandemic, whenever some people didn't feel safe going to the thrift stores, but like these sellers were going to thrift stores. So you're like, you know, I want to add something secondhand to my closet, but I don't want to thrift it. So I use this method whenever I didn't want to go to the thrift store, where I was like maybe like a little too scared to go there. Awesome. So now I'll talk a little bit about navigating the thrift store. This method will apply more to the traditional thrift stores, so like the very big thrift stores, but you can also apply this method to like Buffalo Exchange, Pavement, even like was very overwhelming because even though the store was smaller than a traditional thrift store, they had a lot of clothes. So it could be very overwhelming. So these are some tips that I use, and you can maybe incorporate them and see what works for you. But what I like to do is I like to roam the perimeter of the thrift store first. So when you get into the store, it's really overwhelming. It's even overwhelming for me, who I have been thrift shopping for a while, because so sometimes I go to the same thrift store, so I'm used to it. But if I decide to go to a new store, or if I'm traveling and I go to a thrift store, it's like, okay, I don't know this thrift store. Where do I even start? So I like to start on the perimeter. So you can look at the shoe area. Sometimes the shoes are on the perimeter, but if not, you could like quickly browse through the shoe area because it's not that big. Then there's also the accessory areas. I have found a lot of good accessories recently at the thrift store. Purses, jewelry, home decor, sunglasses. That's where I would look first, just to kind of see what I could maybe add to my outfit. That's what I like to do. And then I'll start moving to maybe like a garment that I want to buy or something that I need. So let's say I go to the thrift store, I start looking at, their accessories. I like this hat, I like this purse. And then I'm like, okay, for example, the holiday season is going to creep up on us. Soon it'll be Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need a dress for one of these holiday events. And so then I'll go, to look at the dresses, see what colors, what styles I like, and then go from there. That's how I typically like to shop. And it's so far it's worked, because I've gone to the thrift stores with like my friends or my sister, and I'm like, oh, I don't really think I'm gonna find anything. And I'll start using this method. And then me, the person who didn't even want to go thrift shopping, is the one that has like more items in the cart than the person who wanted to. So another thing to remember, the only thing about thrift stores, unless you're like a very good skimmer, it can be harder to go in and out of the store. So for example, when you go to the mall or when you go to like a department store, it's easier to say like, okay, I need these pairs of shoes, and then I'm gonna get out. So the thrifting process can take a little bit longer. So just wanted to point that out, because this is all, super fun, like to go thrifting, but at the same time, it's like a little bit more time consuming. So it's not a quick in and out. It can be a quick in and out if you're looking for home decor. I remember when I was looking for home decor for my apartment, the sections aren't too big. So you're able to, quickly look like, oh, okay, I'm looking for a specific colored vase, or like I want like a full body mirror. That's where it will be maybe like a little bit easier to just look quickly and then, leave the store. Okay, let's see, next slide. It's gonna go. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about a little bit more about the items that you can find at the thrift store, because aside from just clothes, like I said, you can get accessories that really elevate your outfits. So it doesn't have to be just clothes. It could be accessories. I know for some people, their shopping might still be weird to them. Just thinking about wearing used clothes, like I have to wash this before I use it, like that could be weird for some people. But maybe you could go to thrift stores to find accessories. They're a little bit easier to clean and to take care of as well. You can find a lot of scarves, purses. I found some cool sunglasses. I love using sunglasses for like props for photos. Other accessories that you could incorporate into your wardrobe if just shopping at the thrift store is like still weird to you. Personally, for me, I always find more items during the fall and winter time. I feel like their sizing is a little bit wider. I feel like during the summer, it's harder. For like the spring and summer, it's a little bit harder for me to find pieces, but they always have a lot of great pieces for fall and winter. So they have a lot of great jackets, cozy sweaters, blazers, Also like gloves, I've gotten gloves from the thrift store. And then another tip that's really cool that we kind of already mentioned is to check out the thrift stores when you travel. So I was in Denver like over 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, let's go check out the thrift stores. And I found some cool purses and even like a coat. Thrift stores are just great for coats. And so on these photos right here, the pearls, I got those from a thrift store. So it's like something simple, but they can make an outfit that maybe you've worn before look a little bit different. The blazer on the, what is it, bottom left, that's from the thrift store. Actually, it's like from a thrift store in Austin. That white shirt that I'm wearing in the photo and wearing right now is from the thrift store. And then that purse or tote bag, I found it on accident at Goodwill. It's actually a Marc Jacobs tote bag. And I'm pretty sure I paid maybe no more than $10. And Marc Jacobs tote bags retail for like over like $100. So whenever I was just at the thrift store, I was like a Goodwill. I was like, oh, let me look at the purses. This was like before I did the method that I told you all about to navigate the stores. I was like, oh, that purse or that tote bag looks cool. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is like a Marc Jacobs tote bag. So I picked it up and I took it. So there's just different things that you can find. That sweater actually in that photo, I have had that sweater since, I want to say like 2012. And it was actually like a sweater dress. So for a few years, I wore it as a sweater dress. Then I got tired of it and I made it a cropped sweater. So those are just different things that you can do whenever you're shopping. And let's see, I think, okay, cool. And then right before I show you all those other pictures, Judy had mentioned this too. Thrift pieces can also be great for like Christmas gifts, since you know Christmas gifts are season's gonna come up soon. Home decor is a great gift that you can give to people, especially if you know the person wouldn't mind getting like thrifted pieces. Sometimes I bought stuff that fits me a little too big, but I think like, oh, I could give it to my sister because she will like it. So those are like different things that you can do whenever you're thrifting. And to emphasize, and y'all have mentioned it already in the chat, thrift stores are great for coats and jackets and blazers. So this outfit on the left, I don't know my size here, is from 2016. And I was traveling to New York and I was like, okay, I need a coat, but coats typically run like over like $60. So where do I get a coat from? I'm going to New York and for some reason I'm going when it's going to be freezing. And then I was like, oh, like I could maybe find something at the thrift store. And so I found this coat that I still have for $5. I couldn't believe it. And it's a really good quality coat that has like a fur, like fake fur, like lining. It's super warm. It's like a long coat too. So it kept me warm. Like I was not cold at all that whole time I was in New York. And even that whole outfit, most of it is thrifted except for like the shoes. The coat was $5. The shirt apparently was $3. I don't think I have that shirt still. The pants were $5. And then the necktie, that's another like accessories that you can find at the thrift store. That was it looks like what, 50 cents. And then the belt was a little bit more expensive, but it was around $10. And this on the right, that is the coat I bought from Pavement. I think I went to Pavement, was it last year before, obviously before the winter storm. And I saw the coat, I really liked it. And I was like, well, since it's like a resale store, it's like $36. I don't know if I should get it. Also, Texas doesn't get that cold typically. So I was like, should I buy this? I don't know if I should buy this. I tried it on. It was very nice, nicely made. It has pockets. It's actually a Gap, a coat. And I was like, yeah, it's a fun color. Like I should get it if Texas ever decides to get cold. So I was a little bit on the fence if I should get it because it was a little bit pricey, like 36, that's kind of a lot, you know. But then I looked it up and usually Gap coats are like over $100. So I was like, let me just get it. It could work out, and it did. It worked. It kept me warm during the winter storm. And like I said, the long coats are super great to keep you warm. Those gloves that I'm wearing are actually, I bought them in 2016, so I still have them. They still keep me warm. They're from a thrift store. The hat that I'm wearing, the little like warm bucket hat, is from a thrift store. And even the sweater is also from a thrift store. So if you need to find pieces for the colder months, I think that thrift stores are probably the best whenever it comes for fall, getting ready for fall and winter. All right, let's see. I think that's it for that one. Okay. And so another thing that you could do is look for outfit inspiration. You might be like, okay, this is like too much work, but it'll work out in the long run. Because I was one of those people, trust me, when I first started thrift shopping, I would just buy whatever, and then I couldn't make outfits with the pieces I had in my closet. So you can kind of look for color inspiration, whether it's on Pinterest or just, you know, wherever you want to search. You can also look for color combinations online. So maybe you're like, I want to wear more orange this fall. Like, how can I incorporate orange into my closet? You could do that. And then also create outfit inspiration with pieces that are already in your closet. Like I mentioned, before I would just buy whatever, put it in my closet, but then I couldn't make outfits with it. So now whenever I shop, I'm like, okay, I like this, let's say shirt, but what will it match with in my closet? What outfits can I create with it? So I try to think like that whenever I am shopping. And then also you could maybe have a little bit fun and make a mood board. Since, you know, fall is coming up, you can make a mood board of like the pieces that you would like to get from the thrift store. And it doesn't have to be like a mood board with photos, because I know that's like time consuming, like getting a photo and putting it together. Unless you like to make, you know, mood boards, go for it. But you can also do like text, like mood boards, like, okay, like I have these tan pants in my closet that I want to wear. I would like to wear them with this. You know, you could just kind of create outfits, potential outfits, so that way whenever you go shopping, it's easier to create a wardrobe with the pieces that you have. And this is kind of important because we've, with fast fashion, we're just so used to just shopping, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like the more pieces you have in your closet, the easier it is to make outfits. But it's not, for me at least, it didn't work. When I had a lot of clothes, it was just harder for me to make outfits. And I'm like, how do I have all this clothes and I can't put an outfit together? So it's better to be strategically whenever you're planning your outfits, to kind of slow the process down and be like, okay, here's what's in my closet. What can I make work with the pieces that I already have? Or you could be like, okay, well, no, this season I want to try these new things. So those are different ways that you could, find inspiration whenever you're shopping. And it really helps, because sometimes I'll be like, okay, hopefully I can find, said piece whenever I'm at the thrift store. And then I find something that's similar. So it's like, yes, I found something that I was looking for, which doesn't always happen, just because when you go to a thrift store, you're kind of going to find whatever is there. So yeah, just looking for outfit inspiration helps you determine your style, and it helps you see the value in your clothes as well, and see what works for you, what colors work for you, and what your style is as well. And it just, personally, I feel like it makes getting dressed a little bit funner when you know your style and what pieces work for you, and you also feel more confident as well. And also, of course, if you really want to save even more at the thrift store, because who doesn't want to save while looking good, definitely pay attention to the color tag sales. Each day there's a different color depending what thrift store it is. They'll have discounted sales. Unfortunately, I always find pieces that aren't discounted, but if you want to save some extra money, you could do that. They also have reward programs where they'll give you, like, let's say, I think I have gotten one where it's like $10 off like a $20 purchase. So you get to save a little bit more. So if you're really wanting to save, pay attention to the color tag sales and sign up for the reward programs. And then they'll also give you sometimes like little flyers whenever you shop of like future dates, and you can see if you want to, go shopping again with those dates if you're looking for something inexpensive. And I would even say, like, pay attention to these extra savings whenever it's the holiday season. If someone doesn't mind getting like a vase from the thrift store, or like home decor items from the thrift store, I would, save the coupon, so that way you know like where to go and save some money. During the holiday season, it could get expensive. So now we're going to get into the sustainable part of thrift shopping. Of course, I had to talk about this. So what are some things to consider whenever you're shopping is to buy only what you need. Don't bring the overconsumption mindset, even though it can be really like easy to bring that over because you're like, oh, well, this is cheap. I can afford this. Like, I'm just going to buy it because it's cheap and whatever, you know. I've done that before. Trust me, when I first started shopping at the thrift store, I was like, I can't believe this is so cheap. Like, yes, that's cool. I'm going to buy it. And then, like I said, I just had a bunch of pieces that just didn't work with each other well when it came to like building outfits. So to reiterate, don't buy things just because it's cheap. So really put thought into what you're buying. And so another thing is to inspect pieces. I will be honest, I just started doing this maybe like a year. It's not even like I haven't been doing this for that long. Is to really inspect the pieces that whenever you're shopping, like really look at the seams of your clothing, because you don't want to bring something home that maybe you have to fix and you won't have the time to fix. I don't know how to sew, and I don't think I could make time to fix, you know, mend, repair items, but you have to be a little bit realistic with yourself. So you're like, okay, like I can fix this, I'll just take it home. But like I'll have piles of clothing that I'm like, oh, those are pieces that I bought that I'm supposed to fix. So really look at the pieces, look at the seams, look at the zippers. I think one time my sister bought a pair of pants and she forgot to look at the zipper. I think because the fitting rooms were closed, so she couldn't try the pants on. So she took home a pair of pants with a zipper that didn't work. For some people, they're like, that's an easy repair, but you know, not everyone has that talent to repair things. Look at the buttons as well. Make sure the buttons are secured. Buttons are probably a little bit easier to fix. So if you're like, oh, I can fix this, then you know, take it with you. I actually was it last month? Last month, I saw these shorts that I really liked. They were just made so nicely, but they had a few stains on them. And I was like, should I take these home and like hope that when I wash them and maybe like try to take the stains off, they'll go away? Or should I just leave them here? Because I don't know if the stains will go away and I don't want to, you know, add more clutter to my closet. So I decided to just leave the shorts. I really liked them. They were like really good quality shorts. They were just made so nice. And I believe I tried them on too and they look nice, but I was like, these stains, I don't think it's gonna be worth it. So those are things that you should look at. Also, look inside the pieces too. So with fall and winter season coming up, if you're looking for blazers or jackets, look in like the inside of the coat, inside the armpit area, because I was going to buy a blazer once and like the inside lining of like the armpit area was ripped. And I was like, okay, this is like $8 for like something that's ripped inside. And I don't have that level of expertise to go in there and fix that. So let me just leave that here for maybe someone else who is better at sewing who could probably fix that. Another thing is to touch the fabrics whenever you're shopping. And it might look weird if you're like inspecting the pieces whenever you're thrift shopping. People could look at you weird, but it doesn't matter because you're really wanting to bring good pieces into your wardrobe. Another reason why I would recommend to like really touch the fabrics when you're shopping and like familiarize yourself with the different textures is so that way, if you ever shop online, most people will put what kind of material the pieces are made from, like the clothes is made from. So that way, you know, like, oh yeah, like I remember that material. I touched it at the thrift store and I like how it feels against my skin. When I first started thrift shopping too, I bought, I think it was like 2 sweaters that I really liked. And even though I tried them on, I still took them home and I like the material itched my skin a little bit when I tried it on, but I was like, oh, maybe when I wash it, it'll not itch anymore. No, it still itches. So that way you can also know what materials work for your skin, you know, if they're itchy or not. I think there's also times where like I'll be, you know, looking through the piles of clothes and I'm like, oh, this shirt is cute. Like I like how it looks. But then I touch the material and I'm like, this is not gonna work out for me. I don't like this material. I don't like how it feels against my skin. And so those are things that you can adapt to easily be like, this is cute, but it's not gonna work for me. And this is, I would say this is something that I just started doing, because like I said, back then I would just take whatever and bring it into my closet. Now I'm like, you know what, this is cute, but that material, it's not going to work. Or, you know what, that's a color I'm not going to wear, or that's a pattern I'm not going to wear. So just, you know, touch the fabrics. And like I said, also too, whenever if you ever shop online, you're able to be like, I don't like that fabric. And like I mentioned earlier, I bought a blazer from Depop, and I remember asking the seller, like, hey, what's the material like? Is it itchy? Because I don't like itchy fabrics. And, you know, they said, no, it's not itchy. So that way, you know, you're buying stuff that also feels comfortable too, because it's really uncomfortable. I don't know if you've ever experienced that when you have like a nice shirt or like even pants that you like, but the material, it just isn't working for your skin. It's just like uncomfortable. So that's something that I would really consider whenever you are shopping. And then, okay, so a quick little question for y'all. Do any of y'all read the care labels whenever you are shopping? If you want to maybe put it in the chat. Do y'all read the care labels around here? Oh, yay. Pat says she reads it. They read the care labels. Okay, wow, y'all are pro. Okay, Eva said no. I'm like, y'all are pros. Why are y'all here? No, I'm just kidding. Cool. Awesome. Okay. No worries. Oh, yeah, you don't want to dry clean them. Oh, I like that. That's usually my deal breaker. Yes, I agree. Cool. Okay, so some of y'all read them, some of y'all don't. It's totally fine. I just started reading them probably like a year ago. So what is a care label? A care label is a permanent label or tag containing regular care information and instructions. So it'll tell you how to, you know, wash something, how to dry something. Here's like a few photos of, you know, the care labels that you could see. And yeah, I'll be honest, I just recently started reading the care labels. So haven't been doing this for a while. I would look at them when I started thrift shopping, but I was like, okay, whatever. And then I would just like wash my clothes however. But now I'm like, no, okay, I need to. When I started getting more interested in sustainable fashion, I was like, oh, I should read the care labels to make my pieces last longer. So this trick can really like expand the life of your garments. Also, if an item needs to be dry cleaned, like someone said, I think it was Blanca had said, like that's a deal breaker. There's pieces that I have not brought into my closet because I'm like, honestly, I'm not gonna dry clean this, let me be honest. And it also helps like the water temperature, so that way there are some garments I would say that probably they get wasted or damaged when you do wash them in hot water. I kind of just cheat and I just wash everything in cold water. And then depending on the fabric, I'll feel it. And I'm like, okay, this material feels like I have to air dry. For example, like I have bought swimsuit tops from the thrift store. There's actually a swimsuit top. And so I'll like wash it, right? But then I'll touch the material and I'm like, this is a material I need to air dry. So I typically always wash everything in cold water. And then I just decide if I touch the material and I'm like, I could air dry this, or, oh, I could probably throw this in the dryer for a little bit. I will also confess that I have bought some stuff that says dry clean only, and I just wash them in cold water and air dry them and then like steam them, and they work out. So you can kind of work around those things. And also I like this little graphic from Fashion Revolution, like advising to always read the care instructions before you put them in the washer or the dryer. They'll also say like what temperature to use, because it'll say like tumble dry low or like do not dry. So it just helps you figure out what to do with your, you know, whenever it's time to wash or clean your piece. You're like, so what do I do with this? Do I put it in cold water, hot water? What is it I need to do? Also, especially if you have a lot of vintage clothing, like this graphic says, it can be delicate. And spot cleaning is also something that I want to say I probably started doing about 2 years ago. Spot cleaning is basically like if you get like a stain somewhere and you're like, the shirt's technically clean, but now I have a stain on it. I like to clean it. I get like a small towel, so like kind of like the makeup towels, but like a clean one, and I'll put cold water in it and I'll like remove the stain. If I'm not mistaken, hot water actually is worse. It makes the stains worse. So I've used cold water, that like spot cleaning with like wetting the towel with cold water and then like, you know, cleaning the little section. And that's worked so far for like some stains that are pretty hard to get. That trick has definitely worked for me. So that's something that I would definitely advise as well. And let's see. I think that's that for this slide. And then I also probably found out maybe like a week ago, because the end of August, this presentation goes hand in hand with Secondhand September. So if you decide to go shopping, take a picture and do the hashtag Secondhand September, wherever you share it, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I would encourage you to participate. Fashion Revolution has a lot of good educational information. If you care to learn a little bit more, this is the one that's based in the UK, but there's also a Fashion Revolution based in the US. But yeah, I would recommend you to follow them and check out the information that they have and participate. You should participate in Secondhand September. I'd love to see your photos, or if you've never been thrift shopping, or just to see what things you find during that time. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening and being here for this presentation. I think we can open it up to questions, or if maybe there's some tips that you have when it comes to thrifting that I didn't mention, because y'all look like y'all are professionals already. So we can open up to questions. I think they'll be in the chat. And it could be a question, or if maybe you're like, hey, like I like this trick that you didn't mention and you want to share it, like let me know. But then also, if you want to get a little thank you gift and you feel comfortable me sending you something to your address, you can email me and I'd love to send you a thank you gift for being here during this presentation. So let me go read the messages or the comments. No, let's see. Messages. Okay, I think there was a few questions up here. Oh yeah, Labor Day sales are definitely coming up for sure. Oh my God, yes, I just started doing that. Okay, Pat put on the comments. I saw something on Twitter that people measure pants around their neck to see if they fit before purchasing at thrift stores. Yes, I have done that. It works. I told my sister about that trick. She was mind blown, and she went thrifting, I want to say like 2 weeks ago with one of her friends, and she tried the trick and it works. Like, I swear it works. I don't know how it works. A lot of thrifts, not all of them, but some thrift stores have their fitting rooms still closed because of COVID. And so if you're like, yeah, I have a hard time finding pads too. But I tried it even with skirts. I'm like, this is a cute skirt. Let me see if it works. And I did the little, I wish I had something to show y'all, but you get the skirt or the pants and you put it back here and you wrap it around your neck. If it feels too tight on your neck, it's going to be too tight. If it's too loose, it's going to be too loose. If it fits just right, it's going to, I don't know why it works, but it works. I don't know how. Even my sister was like, how does that work? Like, how does this relate? But it definitely works. That's a really great tip. Let's see, there's a recent comment right now, and I'll go back to the other ones. You have a list of favorite thrift stores in DFW. So I love Thrift Town. I grew up in a suburb closer to Fort Worth, and it had Thrift Town down the street. I wouldn't go anywhere else but that Thrift Town, and I always found stuff. So I love Thrift Town. Also, St. Vincent is a really good store as well. It's in Dallas. That store also has really good home decor. I found some really good home decor there, and I got my Christmas decorations from there actually last year. So that's one of my favorite thrift stores. Yeah, I guess I just kind of have like two. I kind of go to the same ones. Let's see. Do you have any suggestions or experience with reselling items such as Buffalo Exchange or Plato's Closet? I have sold stuff to, I think it was Plato's. I'm trying to remember if it was Buffalo's too. I prefer selling stuff to Buffalo. I feel like sometimes Plato's doesn't really, give you the money for what you have. A suggestion would be to, if you want to get money for the pieces you're trying to sell to those stores, take what's trending right now. So like if you have summer stuff that you're trying to sell to Buffalo Exchange or Plato's Closet, they're not going to take it because right now they're trying to fill their store with fall and winter pieces. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna take my shorts and like my tank tops or like my summery breezy tops and see if they'll buy them, they're not gonna buy them. So that's a tip that I can give you, is be like, okay, maybe let me look at some jackets or coats that I don't want. And they'll usually take shoes. They won't pay too much for shoes. I've sold some shoes that were basically new and they like didn't really give me much, but they will take like any like sneakers are also very popular with them, or just like any shoes, especially like boots right now as well. I think there was like a different, I'm gonna see what was up here. I feel like I missed. Let's see, is there a way to test? Oh yeah, the electronic gadgets. I think there is typically, they have like a power strip. I think Jeremy might have answered that question, but they usually have a power strip, because I remember this is awkward, but I forgot I had a coupon on my email and my phone was dead. And so I was like, hello, I have a coupon on my email, but my phone is dead. And they're like, you can just charge your phone there. And it's like the power strip where people can test the electronics. But no, electronics are really good too. I bought 2 lamps from the thrift store and I was scared that they wouldn't work, but they worked pretty well. Oh, thank you, Blanca. Fantastic presentation. Thank you. Let's see. There was a question I saw when I was talking earlier, and I want to make sure I don't miss it. I think it was about budgeting. One second here. Let's see. Okay, how do I budget for thrifting by Rory? I believe that's one of the questions that I was wanting to make sure I didn't miss from earlier. How do I budget for thrifting? Well, I kind of don't, but I try not to spend too much. I focus a little bit more, instead of budgeting, I focus more on like what I need to bring to my closet or what like I want to add. Right now, I'm kind of like at a place where I have most of the pieces that I already need in my closet. I have a good collection of like sweaters and coats that I got for last year. So I might not even really need to, but I try not to spend too much, you know, like I try not to go too overboard. But yeah, I kind of like will look at something. And like that's another thing, like to inspect the pieces. So if you're like, okay, I'm gonna look at this jacket and it's like $10, but if it's, I don't know, it has stains or holes, and like that's kind of like a deal breaker. So it kind of just like a factor of everything of like, do I need it, and then kind of like see the price. But I've never spent, I want to say like $100 at the thrift store. I've never spent anything like extreme like that. And even whenever I went to that picture that y'all saw with like the coat that I went to New York, like even then, like I didn't want to spend too much because I was already going to New York and spend some money. So I was like, okay, I need to like find hopefully a cheap coat or like an affordable coat. And I was able to. So if you're on a budget, like you can definitely probably with like, maybe now with $20, you could find maybe like an outfit, $20-$30, you could find something. Let's see. I think there was something, Genesis thrift store. In late winter, take the good spring. Yeah, okay. Yes, I think Jeremy answered the tech questions. Yeah, he finds a lot of tech stuff at the thrift store. You'd be surprised. Awesome. Let's see. What was Herman's tip? Oh yeah, the light bulb. I should have tried that. They have some really cool home decor. There was another thrift store, I can't remember, but it was close to like the St. Vincent area, and they had some really nice home decor. I actually bought curtains from the thrift store too. So anything that I could find to, let's see, I buy clothes online that have actual garment measurements. Yes. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, if you measure yourself, you're able to also shop online and be like, hey, these are my measurements. Usually they will respond to you. Epoca Shop on their website, I believe they have like the measurements to like the pieces that they sell. I forgot to mention that tip because that's the tip I need to work on myself, is to know my measurements. So that way I know what fits right for me and what's good for my style. Yes, I know. I found that's like an old blog post, and I was like, let me go see how much that coat was. It was probably $10, but then I was like, oh, I found that for $5. That was a really good steal, and it was in 2016, so that was like super cheap even then. But I think that's all the questions. I don't know if I missed anyone. If I didn't answer your question, can you please put it back on the chat so that way I don't miss it? And also thank you so much for sharing y'all's tips. This is super great because I'm like, I know y'all have some tips, but I think the one that really blew my mind was the whole putting it out around your neck. And that works for pants. And it also works for like skirts or shorts, like anything, any bottoms, it works for that. Because I tried that trick for shorts, skirts, pants, and it works. So I don't know how it works, but it works. And I saw it on, I don't have a TikTok, but my friends send me TikToks. So thank you, friends. I'm pretty sure it was a TikTok too. A lot of also people who are really good thrifters are on social media and sharing all their thrifts. I'll put someone's account here. I just found yesterday, it was probably Google spying on me, but I think it's, hold on, I think it's called Thank You Thrift Again. She put some funny stuff on Instagram that's about thrifting content. Let me make sure it's the right one for y'all. Thank you thrifting. I'll put it in the chat. She makes funny stuff when it's regarding to thrifting. But yeah, social media is also like a great tool if you're ever like, oh, I need like some tips, or like, how do I like become a better, smart, I wouldn't say like better, but like, more smarter thrift shopper with what works for you. Social media is like great resource for that. And they'll make some cool content and even get more tips. She also has like some cool little videos on Instagram on like tips for beginners. And I actually stole the finding color combination tip from her. So yeah. And then if, like I said, if anyone has a question that I didn't answer that you asked earlier, please place it down on the chat. But yeah, this was fun, y'all. Y'all are professionals. Thank you, Eva.
Yeah, Karina, thank you so much. It was a great presentation. I know I learned some new tips here to make
this was fun.
to make a smarter maybe a smarter thrifter. Yeah, I like you talk about like how you compare things to what it would be new. That's a really good tip, like to see like what would this be new, like is this a good deal or not, because sometimes you mentioned Austin and my sister lives down there and I've been to thrift stores and sometimes their prices are a little bit higher than like say prices for the same thing here in Dallas. So yeah, definitely the cost comparison is a helpful tip.
Yeah, and also I believe it was Judy or somebody put on the chat before the presentation started to go to small towns. I didn't know about that. That's a really good tip. And I haven't been to Denton, but my sister would always find really good stuff at the Denton thrift stores. That's where she went to school at UNT. And so I'd be like, where's this jacket from? Or that is so cute. And she's like, oh, it's from the thrift store. And I'm like, which one? And she'd say, oh, in Denton. So yeah, a little road trip would be fun, go to a thrift store and, check out some local restaurants there. So yeah, it'll be like a fun little experience. You can
find some cool jewelry though, also in glassware. Like if you want some vintage, glass items, something that maybe matches something that you have, you can sometimes find it in small places like that.
That was a really good tip. I was like, I didn't think of that.
Well, this was fabulous, and just thank you so much. It was great to
thank you
hear and see everybody's great tips and comments in the chat. Thank you everyone for being here.
Yes, thank you, Dallas Public Library and Judy and Herna and everyone for reaching out to me and for being here. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you want to learn some other ways, you can. So next week's going to be about how you can use dyes from your garden. That's a good way. Like if you find something, you have to be careful. They'll go into that next week, but to refresh items too is by giving them, you can over dye a lot of things too. So yeah, so join us next week too. And we'll have another fantastic program about dyeing from your garden. DYE, not DIE. That's a separate program.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah, tune into that. That's another thing that's super cool. Giving new color to your items.
Yes. All right. Well, yes, thank you, Karina, so much.
Thank y'all.
Doing another wonderful presentation for us. And let's see. Yeah, you put your Instagram in there, so yeah, be sure to.
Yes, my email, Instagram. If you have any more questions or anything else you want to add, let me know. Thank you, y'all.
All right, thank y'all so much. Everyone have a wonderful rest of their day. Stay cool out there. If you're here in Dallas, it's pretty sweltering outside right now.
Stay cool. It's hot out there. Enjoy your weekend, y'all.
We miss you too, Pat.
Yes, Pat, we miss you. but glad you're here, virtually.
Yes.